Hi, this is Gabe. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to share some of my thoughts about getting started in woodworking. Now, several years ago, when I was working, I've had a few people ask me how to get started in woodworking, what kind of tools do they need, and so on and so forth. So I basically asked them if they knew how to build a box or had any idea how to build a box. And if they would say yes, I'll say, well, that's basically the blueprint of woodworking. If you think you can build a box, which comprises of equal sides, a top and a bottom, that's basically what woodworking is. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't want to water it down either. But if you can build a box, then you pretty much have the aptitude for woodworking. So, but with that comes, you need good tools. Now I've got some notes here to work with that I'm kind of working off of. So you do need good tools. Now, when I first got started, I just bought a lot of crappy tools that were available, and some tools I bought off of friends. Some were really good, which are still amazing tools that I still have. Other tools didn't last very long and ended up costing me a lot more money in the long run because I had to replace them multiple times over. So get good tools and good accurate tools. So, accuracy is most important. If you're going to be building jigs are designed for accuracy and repeatability. So if you're going to make jigs, use well-designed jigs. You don't have to make them all out of hardwood or anything like that. I like using MDF and hardwoods, but MDF is a great stable wood. It's not gonna do anything unusual when you cut it. It's not gonna warp or twist or relieve tension in it when you make that cut or something. So it's a great material to use. Plus it's less expensive than real wood. Another thing I like to do is I like to use one tape measure. Start the job with that and finish the job with one tape measure. And you also want a tape measure that's easy to read. Now, over the years, I've had all sorts of tape measures, and I think this is probably my favorite one, and it's a 35-foot tape measure, and this thing is built like a rock, and this thing is, I've dropped it off of the roof and things like that over the years, never broke. So buy a good tape measure that's easy to read. And if you don't know how to read a tape measure, there's a lot of good videos on YouTube. And here's a picture. This picture explains how to read a tape measure in 30 seconds. So get a good tape measure, use it from start to finish. Most important key. Get good squares. Get a good framing square, a good speed square, a good combination square. And if you need to, you can get these digital angle finders. And these are great on Amazon, so these are awesome. These aren't inexpensive. They're fairly cheap, and you can't go wrong with one of them. Another thing, sharp tools. You want good sharp chisels. You want good sharp drill bits, new drill bits. If they're dull, either get a drill doctor, learn how to sharpen your own drill bits, or replace them. Pretty much those are your only options. So good drill bits, they'll save you a lot of time in the long run. I've seen a lot of people doing pen segmenting, blowing out a lot of things, myself included, because I didn't sharpen something correctly or the bit was getting dull and ended up wasting my project. So get good sharp tools. Digital calipers, those always come in handy if you don't know how to read a regular caliper. I use a regular digital calipers. It'll do it in inches or millimeters, whichever is easier for you. I like casters on my tools for portability. I can move my table saw in around my garage. My workbench also has casters on it. A lot of other things. So just, regular cleanup in the garage. I can move things out, hose things off, move it back into place with casters. So it makes life a lot easier. A little bit expensive when you're first starting out, but it's worth it in the long run. One other thing is buy the tools that you can afford. When I was mentioning good tools earlier, there was a lot of tools that I really wanted that I couldn't get, that I had to make do without. So, and there's still quite a few tools I would like to get, but I just can't afford them. So I'm not going to buy them. I'm not going to go into debt to buy tools. Buy tools cash, go to yard sales. A lot of estate sales, people pass away, it's unfortunate, or they're downsizing and they don't have room for their tools. They don't retain their value like you would hope they would, so tools are cheap, secondhand, but they're not always good. So be aware that the tools that you may be looking at may need some refurbishing, or they're just low quality. So stay away from low quality tools, buy good quality that's affordable. And let's see, good quality saw blades. That is a really good piece of advice that I wish I would have learned along the way. A lot of money I've spent over the years on different saw blades. I like a forest saw blade on my table saw, but I end up using it more on my miter saw. On my table saw, I use a 60-tooth combination also, but it's a thinner kerf. I like a thinner kerf blade on my table saw because it's less waste. So that's also something to look at also. Arm yourself with knowledge. There's a lot of books out there. You can go to a library, get a lot of books on woodworking. Have a plan before you start. You can go to YouTube, figure out how people do things if you don't know what or where to start or how to do something. Lots of videos on YouTube, a great resource. Back when I first started woodworking, YouTube wasn't available. Heck, the internet wasn't even around when I first started woodworking. So I subscribed to a lot of woodworking magazines, and that's certainly a good place to start, because you don't always have access to the internet if you're at work or wherever, so it's easy to pull out a magazine and read through what you need to read, and a good way to get a collective overall knowledge on woodworking and just basic information, because you'll pick up a lot more by subscribing to a magazine and not looking at a video on YouTube. So a video on YouTube is a good generalization of how to do something, but a lot of steps get edited out. So arm yourself with knowledge, and experience is knowledge. So the best way to learn is by doing. If you're gonna do something, I like to do things first, making prototypes, and I'll use MDF or less expensive wood when it comes to making prototypes. That way you can get all the nuances out, and if you make a mistake, and you will, it's just part of it. You have to learn improvisation. You have to learn to improvise. How do you make lemons out of lemonade, so to speak? It's an old cliche, but it's very true. So arm yourself with knowledge. I like using graph paper to do accurate scale drawings of projects so that I can take accurate measurements and get good quality results. Well, that's it. That's pretty much how to get started in woodworking. Not really going over anything unusual, just some quick pieces of advice. So that's it. Have a good day. Hey, this is Gabriel Castro. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. You can click on the link right here and subscribe. You can watch a video series right here or the latest video right here.